Thanks for tuning in to Hobbs and Horror Movie Review Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hobbs and Horror. I'm Eric. and that's Jason, and this is Gavin.
Oh man, I was gonna be conquistador today.
Tommy Sawhorse.
Apparently, they're both too absorbed in their cell phones to properly
I didn't know who was going to go.
We're checking our stock, dude.
Yeah. You know, you can buy Bitcoin at the gas station now.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, doesn't Quick Trip have a Bitcoin ATM?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you can buy Bitcoin at Quick Trip now.
All right. So
what a time to be alive.
So we're back with another episode. Our movie of the day was The Doom Generation.
Yeah, before we get going on that, though, I do, since the last time we did one of these, something happened, and I think some people might think it's kind of funny. It's we talked a lot about how some really disgusting things in the movie Dead Alive and stuff like that. So I'm guessing the people that listen to this might think this is kind of funny. So,
oh no,
last week. Gavin already knows about this.
Yeah, I know where this is going.
So last year, my girlfriend and I decided to buy a camper to go up to High Cliff and do stuff with the kids. And this last week, we decided to go up to High Cliff, and we were up there camping. And I went to go to the bathroom, and when I came back, there was a black cat just sitting in our campsite, just hanging out. And the kid, Jack, was feeding it, and Aaron was trying to get it to come by her and stuff. Well, it didn't have a collar on it or anything, so we lured it into our camper with some steak. Okay, got it in there, and within 2 minutes, this thing was rolling around, showing us its belly, letting us rub on it. I mean, this thing was the sweetest cat, all pitch black. This cat, and just the sweetest thing. Couldn't have been more than a year old, and you guys know I love cats. Aaron loves the cats. Jack likes cats, so we're like, "Fuck, we got another cat." As soon as this thing started loving on us, we're just like, "It's over," In fact, she was talking about, well, how much do you think it'll, are you comfortable paying for this cat? We don't know what the vet bills are going to be. And at first, I was like $500. That's the limit. No more than that. And then all of a sudden, he's rubbing on me, and I'm like, okay, maybe $1,000. so this was the first night we were camping. So we had another night to go. And so the cat just basically stayed in our pop-up with us for 2 days. And actually, he didn't want to go out of the camper at a certain point. Once he realized it was safe in there, he was like, I'm chilling here. This is my new home. So when it came time to leave, though, I should back up a little bit. He took a half a steak out of my hand and ran off with it. This thing, he had been starving. He used his bones and everything else. So he'd eaten a lot of gross stuff out in the wilderness, and then he ate steak that was heavily seasoned and everything. So it came time to leave. We bought a carrier, we bought a litter box for it and everything. So he got to go in the camper. We had the litter box set up. When we went to leave, Erin was going to hold the cat while I drove. And she had the carrier where she's like, well, maybe I should just let him stay out of the carrier, on the way home, because we had gone somewhere else previously with him and he was fine. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Just hold him. So we're driving. We're going down CE. And all of a sudden, the cat's trying to get away from her, trying to climb over the top of her. And I'm like, you need to hold him, And she's like, well, can you pull over? Because I'm going to have to get him back into the carrier. He's going nuts. I'm like, okay. And let me just say, Erin, before we even left, felt terrible. I mean, just sick. The day we were supposed to come back, she had drank the night before, and she hadn't had any water. It had been really hot out. So she was really hungover, and she just was she was complaining about being nauseous all morning. So we're on our way. We're driving down CE, and this cat starts going crazy. And we're like, okay. So I'm going to pull over. Before I could even pull over, she's holding the cat up by her shoulder, and it starts spraying shit all over her. She had a skirt on, just shit all over the skirt, everything. And she starts bawling. Erin just starts crying, and she's like, it's so gross. And literally, she's trying to hold the cat's still squirming in her arms, and so the shit is getting all over her, right? So I pull over. She's fucking throwing up out the side of the door. I'm throwing up out the side of my door. Dry heaving, I should say. I didn't actually throw up, but I was dry heaving out the side of my door. And I'm laughing my ass off. I couldn't help it. She had to literally take her shirt off on the side of the road and try to wipe herself with our dirty towels and then put on her dirty clothes. And my whole car just stuck like shit the whole time. But she did. It was, oh my God. But now we have a new baby. We got a new cat. And we named him Laszlo after the character from What We Do in the Shadows. That was just a little interesting thing that's happened since the last time we did one of these.
Yeah. And just to add to that story, I thoroughly believe that this story could only happen to you, Jason. Like, there's no way this happens to anybody
else. I laughed so hard. I couldn't stop. I mean, the fact that, how bad, it's bad enough that you're, sick. You don't feel good. You're queasy. But then to have, anybody who has a cat knows their shit stinks. Bad. And when you're in a fucking car and you can't get away from it, and she's just, this thing's just spraying shit all over her. It was look, all those, and then we get home. We got home and there's a fucking, she's right away, she's I want to go take a shower. There's a note taped to my door that says the water company is coming through. And on that day, the water will be turned off and may not come back on until the next day. So I showed her and she's like, no. She goes in and I'm like, all right, I'll go see. And luckily the water turned on in the kitchen, so she was fine. She was able to take a shower. But the combination of all these things happening all at the same time, it was it's unbelievable.
Okay. So how does that connect to the Doom generation?
It doesn't. That's my segue.
It's just a story that's got to be told, man.
Okay. Well, all right. so there's that.
All right, so wipe the shit off of everybody, and now we're back to the Doom generation.
So thank you for that.
so the Doom generation comes in at a 6 out of 10 on IMDb, which is pretty high for us.
Yeah, higher than I would have expected, honestly.
And this movie had an $800,000 budget,
that's not bad for. I mean, it doesn't look like it had an $800,000 budget.
It looks higher or lower.
Actually, it's
it looks like a pretty polished movie.
It's believable.
So,
yeah, I've seen real movies that look just worse than that.
So Gavin, this is going to be a tough one to explain what it's about.
No, it's easy.
No,
come on.
I thought that every movie, and then Gavin explains it, and it's I'm going to learn stuff right now as Gavin explains this to me.
Yeah.
So take her away with the plot summary.
Okay, so this is the story of a young couple, Amy and Jordan.
Okay.
Amy and Jordan are a new young couple. They're still in very much their honeymoon phase, and they're kind of on a road trip when things go wrong, and they run across a mysterious stranger named X. And X changes their lives, where not only does he open up their eyes to new sexualities, but he leaves a trail of death and destruction everywhere they go. Ultimately leading to a terrible climax where one of them will not make it out alive.
Wow.
There.
I didn't learn much from there, but that was
but that's the plot.
Now, just so everybody knows, I want to first clarify that was a beautiful description of this movie.
It was, yeah.
This movie is not nearly as good as that description of it.
Is it not?
Well, see, the reason I said it might be hard to explain this movie is just that it's that is a very good description of the surface level of it. I feel like they were going for something almost like an allegory or something there's a deeper meaning to it, but I couldn't quite figure out what it was.
Mm-hmm.
My take on it, because we saw this when we were that age.
Yeah.
When we were the age of the characters in the movie. This was I wouldn't say a big movie, but for as far as the subculture of the goth thing,
for the world we were in.
If you were into that kind of music or scene,
this was a movie you saw.
So you see a lot of like during this journey, it's basically them driving the whole time, and every time they stop, somebody dies, and it's X's fault, Xavier.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I'm curious your take, Gavin, on this, because the way I've always seen this movie is like the deeper meaning, if there is one, is sort of like our generation's directionlessness, that we're like the sort of like the like you see all these signs about the apocalypse the whole time. Every time they buy something, it's 666.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things in it I don't understand at all. Like, I don't know if they're just supposed to be funny. Like how every time, what's the girl's name?
Amy.
Yeah.
Right?
Every time Amy.
You can just say Rose McGowan.
Rose McGowan. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's why I forgot her name.
Yeah.
Oh.
So every time they stop somewhere, there's some guy or some woman that recognizes her as their significant other that ran away or something from the past, and that's usually what kind of instigates some of the violence. So I don't really understand that part of it, if there's a meaning to that, but I felt like this was more of like a sort of like an allegory of some kind, if that's the right word. You're the wordsmith here. What am I looking for?
No, that sounds about right.
Of like our generation and our like just kind of the title of the movie, The Doom Generation, I think really says it.
I think you got more out of it than I did.
Okay.
See, and actually, I will strongly agree with you that's kind of what I think this movie is. The only thing I don't like about this movie, and in a way, I equate this movie to being very similar to Kids from this perspective, where they're trying to represent a certain faction of, and I believe it's like a faction of youth, right? But I feel like how they do it is just, and I don't know if this is what they were going for, but I think it's almost offensive, because it almost does generalize people that are like goth as being just these, I don't know, just horrible people that are always out doing horrible things, and they do the same thing in Kids. Like everything that you see in these movies might actually happen, except for the talking head. But it's like that's not what these generations are. And I don't know. So I don't know. Like, I think you're trying to spin it to a good side. And part of me wonders, too, was the filmmaker just trying to represent how doomed that generation was? Like they were showing the kids and how the youth of today are so screwed up that, and this is the things they do, which I think is very sad, because I like the movie because it does really represent, in a way, that generation or that sort of niche of the goth type people. But it also does it in a very overly done way that's almost offensive.
Okay. I like that. I love that you drew the connection between Doom Generation and Kids, because I would have not thought of that at all. And that's a really good link, and especially because they're similar time periods too. But I don't know, like Kids, I absolutely think the point of Kids is you watch it and you're like, what the hell? There's something very wrong here.
Yeah.
In Doom Generation, although yes, there's something very wrong with these specific people, I don't think like that was intended in a broader sense. Like, I don't know Greg Araki. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. But I don't think that he's opposed to that. I'm pretty sure he is part of that same culture. Yeah. So I don't think he's trying to crap on it.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to crap on it either. And actually, if you look at, like, you know, a lot of, like, some of the corny stuff she says, you know, like, oh, you know, this place is so boring, I could just slit my wrist. Yeah. Those were corny things that, like, goth chicks would say. I mean, like, those were things that, like, and it was really corny when we were that age and people were like that, you know, and, like, just very, very obsessed with that image of
right.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it was maybe he was just, maybe he was in a way mocking fun of the people that aren't really part of that culture, but just like kind of play the role like they are, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
You know, I don't know. But I found that very interesting.
I think it was just like, it showed that they were fumbling around trying to find their individuality, fumbling around and, just trying to find direction in life. And I think that's just reinforces the whole point of the movie a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with all that. And yeah, going back to what you were saying earlier with like the 666 and all the stores have like the end is coming and all these banners everywhere about the end of the world. I don't know if there was like a deeper meaning. I get what you're saying.
I think there was.
I feel like there's supposed to be, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
Because, I mean, they put a lot of thought into a lot of things. You can tell they put a lot of thought into like the banners and stuff like that. I mean, there was something behind all that.
Right, but like if the whole thing was supposed to be like a symbol for something else, like you're saying, like I don't know what it was. So I don't feel they succeeded. If there is something deeper there, I don't feel they succeeded because I don't know what it was.
And when we were watching it, I was reading a lot of reviews, and literally, I mean, people just tore the shit out of this movie. The critics just hated it,
Well, and critics are going to hate it.
Yeah.
Because it is targeting a specific, fan base. It's not, Roger Ebert was not goth, so he's not going to like it. Or did I just say his name right?
You said his name right, but let me. I'm going to. Anytime we mention Roger Ebert on this podcast, I'm going to throw this out there every time. Okay, Roger Ebert wrote Beyond the Valley of the Dolls,
which I don't know what that.
You don't need to know. Other than that, it was a crazy cult movie. Sex, drugs, people getting decapitated. So this guy, the movies that he cracks down on, he has no place to judge movies because he wrote one of the most B movies of all time.
Okay.
So, but still, I guess what I'm going for though is that this movie isn't trying to reach and touch him at all. So of course he's gonna.
I don't even know if it was trying to be good, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's why I was hoping that you would, because I was reading all these reviews and I'm looking to see what people are saying about the meaning of the film, because it feels like a movie that's supposed to have some underlying, like, I mean, the way that they're in the car, like it starts out at the club or at a, goth club, but every time they stop, someone dies. There's a lot of things that are happening, like they're going on, there's like a journey of some kind. You see all the 666 thing, all these things lining up that are happening. And I when I was younger, I just kind of felt like, okay, this is like a statement about our generation and how we're kind of just how we are as a generation, where we're just kind of directionless or something,
Is that what you thought?
Yeah.
When you were younger?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I just like the music and Rose McGowan.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but he's right, dude. That's what people used to say. Well, I mean, but don't you think everybody says that about every generation?
Well,
but that was very much something that was said about us.
Yeah.
When we were younger.
Yeah. I mean, my general view of the 90s, and this is like a mid-90s movie. The 90s to me, and maybe it's just because we lived through it, but to me, I always thought it was like very nihilistic in what was popular. I mean, especially like in the industrial scene. I mean, everything about it is everything's meaningless, death, everything. That's a big part of that. So things having no meaning. But I felt like that was like a general view of the 90s in general, that we had reached a point where things just didn't matter anymore.
I agree.
And I don't know. I don't know if that's like too deep for the movie, but
yeah. Well,
I think we're probably reading into this movie.
Probably, but that's just like. But I look at the movie and I'm like, I get that feeling. Like it is like the most 90s movie to me. That and like Seven. Those are like the most 90s movies to me.
Okay.
Where everything's just bleak and done.
Yeah. Yeah. James Duvall.
James Duvall's amazing.
I gotta say this. I don't know, Eric, you probably don't know this. Gavin, you do, I'm sure. That James Duvall shows up in a lot of movies that are apocalypse themed.
Yeah,
like he was in Independence Day.
I forgot. Yes, he is.
He's in the trailer.
Yep, yeah, he's one of the native kids.
Yeah, and he's also in Donnie Darko, another like apocalypse thing. And he's also in a bunch of other Greg Araki movies,
like Nowhere,
Totally Fucked Up. He's in that. But yeah, like, do you know of any other apocalypse movies that he's in? Because I don't. I think that's
offhand no, but I know another movie he's in that's awesome.
What's that?
May.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what's funny is I was going to compare him to Jeremy Sisto, who's in May.
Yeah.
And because he's one of those actors that shows up and you're like, oh, I love that guy. But you don't see him all the time. You know, Jeremy Sisto a little more now because I think he's done some TV and things like that.
I couldn't even tell you.
I know Jeremy Sisto, I think, from a TV show. So.
Yeah.
I mean, he was Jesus, right?
In what?
Something. I don't know. I don't really know if I know who Jeremy Sisto is.
I could see him as Jesus, I think. If it's who I'm thinking of, I could see him as Jesus.
I know who he is from May,
okay.
Obviously. But beyond that, I couldn't tell you anything he was in.
Yeah, now that you bring it up, I can't think of things, but I do know I've seen plenty of movies with him in it that I was like, oh, fuck yeah, it's Jeremy Sisto.
Yeah.
You know.
So, are you guys ready for the big shocker here?
What's the big shocker?
Is it your rating?
I'm not going to do my rating yet, but I'm going to tell you that this is now number one.
Wow.
Number one?
Yes. So, and it's funny because when I watched this as a kid, I hated this movie.
Really?
But I actually thought that this movie, there was a lot, it was still bad. Okay? It was without a doubt bad.
Right.
But all the offensive bad that I remember from as a kid didn't really bother me now. And I think it's because you guys have desensitized me by watching all these other movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that this, because I do feel like, even if there wasn't like a deep underlying meaning to this movie, there's a lot going on in this movie.
So I'm gonna jump off of what you're going with there. And I will say that it always bothered me, and it still bothers me. The end, not the Dorito and driving off, but the part right before that. That has always bothered me.
I didn't really
disturb you, or
disturbed me.
Really?
Yeah,
that's surprising because you've seen a lot of shit.
Yeah, but it just makes me feel physically uncomfortable.
Really,
in a way that most movies don't.
Huh.
So now, you guys explain to me. So in the end. So this is a spoiler for everybody. If you haven't figured that out yet, you should not.
Yes.
So
but you shouldn't listen to this podcast anyway unless you've listened or watched the movies we're talking about.
So does so the guys come in.
Skinny puppy.
Yep. Is that okay? So that's Skinny Puppy.
Yeah, Skinny Puppy comes in.
Do they kill? Is it James Duvall?
Yeah,
James Duvall.
They kill him, right?
Yeah.
Now, does somehow Rose McGowan get out and just kill all of them, or
they show her come up, like she wiggles her way out of
and then she has the knife and stuff. So
you got to draw your own conclusions
on what exactly happens. Okay.
Yeah, but they obviously got the upper hand, got at least away or killed them, and then it's the only two people left are Xavier and her.
But it bothers me because, so they kill James Duvall, at least in part, by chopping his penis off with, garden shears or whatever.
Yeah.
And for all I know, that's it. Maybe he bleeds to death that way. I'm not sure. That's disturbing. But then, it doesn't even redeem itself because he's the good guy in the movie.
Yeah,
if any of the three are a sympathetic character, it's him.
It's true. Yeah,
the other two are kind of dicks.
Yeah,
they're. Yeah, we haven't brought it up yet, but the gay stuff is my favorite part.
That's just awkward.
But that's what makes it so great.
Yeah,
there's so much sexual tension between Xavier and James Duvall, whatever his character is, and it's funny as hell. Just when they're sitting there and they're so close to each other, their faces, and you think they're gonna kiss, and
you're just get it over with,
and you'll just belch and then get up and be like, I gotta piss, And it's just, I love it. That's my favorite part of the movie. I'm not even gay, but I love it.
Well, not yet.
and
I do more watches,
and I do reiterate too, though. I feel like to call this a horror movie, I wouldn't call it that.
It's not, but I think it's close enough.
Yeah, but I think it does definitely have a place in this
The
podcast.
gore and like the dark kind of theme that goes with it, like all the apocalypse stuff and the head and the relish and onions is talking.
Are we're ready for ratings?
Want to do ratings?
Or
Do ratings.
all right, I'm not starting. This time it's you guys to start.
You want it, or
Because I'm just curious to see if
I'll take it. If you don't want it, I'll take it.
You go for it.
Okay, so I have to actually explain my rating. I went back and I looked at how I had rated it from past, because as Jason knows, I have pretty extensive notes of what I've watched, and I had previously given it a 7 out of 10, but today I bumped it up to an 8.
Wow!
I actually raised it up.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with an 8 because I see the thing is like this is one of those movies like I know I have a bias because this was a movie that for me at the time really represented like what I was into. Like,
oh, totally.
If
this was a country music movie, I'd probably hate it.
Yeah. Let's clarify that Jason was not driving around killing people when he was in high school. But
I was
not that we can admit to anyone.
But I was the guy wearing a Ministry shirt and going to they talk about going to a Thrill Kill Cult concert.
Yeah.
We've been to see the Thrill Kill Cult, Gavin and I both.
Yeah.
And because like I always had that like idea of what the movie was about like that, like our generation being kind of lost and trying to find our way in a dark apocalyptic world where we keep our generation has been told since we were teenagers the world is going to end. It's climate change or I had a religious dad who was always talking about the apocalypse is coming. And all
you
this shit.
had.
Well,
is he not anymore?
Well, I don't talk to him anymore.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he changed, but okay.
No, he's still doing that whole thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so for me, it's like more personal. Like I really like when I saw this movie, I really connected with it.
Yeah, it resonates with you.
Yeah, it resonates with me exactly. Yeah. So my realizing that I'm giving it an 8. But a lot of it is because of the fact that I just have that connection. Yeah, no,
100% on that. Because, again, I was talking to somebody a month ago, whatever it was, and they said, oh, that movie does not hold up. Yeah. And I thought, because I haven't seen it in however long. And
Which is funny because I thought it was better.
Yeah, and I thought it was better too. That was the thing. Like and I'm like, I know that a lot of this is like nostalgia. Yeah. And because it is like I was never like hardcore, I never like dressed the part, but I always loved the music.
Oh yeah.
And so like that still hits me. And maybe it even hits me more now because I'm like, oh, this soundtrack is spot. Open with 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
You go into like I can't even identify the bands because they have such a good obscure
Yeah. I would agree with that too.
So that really helped. Rose McGowan at her finest.
Yep, and that was, I think Doom Generation came out prior to Marilyn Manson. I bet you Marilyn Manson watched Doom Generation.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was probably like, all right, this will be my next one.
I'm sure of it. Yeah, I mean, not to reduce Rose McGowan down to just an object. I mean, no disrespect to her.
Right.
But as a teenager, like, that hit me.
Yeah, and she was in a cult.
And she was in a cult. Yes.
So her playing the dark sort of character and stuff, I think,
Yeah, I don't know. Did you know that, Eric?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, she was raised, it was called like Church of God, I think. It was like...
Oh, really?
Children of God?
Something
like that. Yeah, just some crazy religious cult.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, not in this movie, but like when she was very young.
So, for mine... I actually was going to change it because I thought I would get too close to you guys, and I don't want to be close to you guys.
Oh, yeah.
But I would give this a 6 out of 10.
That's not bad. Is that the same one you got the janitor?
I don't remember what I gave the janitor, but I would
definitely... he gave the janitor a 12.
No. I promise you I did not give the janitor, but I give it a 6, but I will say that I think if it wasn't for the nostalgia factor of it, if you can't relate to this atmosphere, this whatever you want to call it, it's probably going to be like a 2, because I think that's the biggest factor of what made it good. And I mean, other than the killing in it, like we didn't really talk about the killing in it, but there's severed heads that talk in it. What else?
Guy gets an arm blown off.
Yeah, I mean, so there is some good kill, but it's such a small part of the movie that it's not really worth.
Did you notice there's so the guy that gets his head chopped off in the market is a Asian dude that's like running a convenience store or whatever. His head flies off into the relish and onions. He starts talking. There's this scene where they're watching TV in the hotel.
Yeah. And
there's a new newscast about it. And I'm pretty sure they were talking about how that guy that was killed was running some kind of weird, like underground thing. Did you catch that?
That sounds familiar, but I didn't hear it today.
I didn't hear it today either, but I'm pretty sure there was something there that.
So either we're misremembering or that was cut.
Yeah, that might have been cut too. I don't know.
But I will tell you something.
yeah, you will.
Yeah. So like, there's a lot of great cameos in this movie. Yeah. Right? Parker Posey, Margaret Cho,
I mean, all people you know.
Skinny Puppy. Yeah, Perry Farrell, or however you say his name. Perry Farrell? I don't know. The guy from Jane's Addiction. However you say his name. So all these people. Now, the newscaster, not the lady, but the guy who pops in and out.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
I did. I saw him on IMDb when I was looking and we were watching it, but I didn't make any connection.
Okay. He played Peter Brady on the Brady Bunch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So one of the Brady Bunch is in the Doom Generation.
That's amazing. Wow. That's funny. So
I didn't know there were that many. The only one I knew was Skinny Puppy.
Yeah,
that's it. But
I think that's all I knew back in the day.
Yeah,
because I don't think I knew who these people were.
Sure, makes sense.
So it's a really interesting movie, and like you said, like all those cameos. That's kind of, I mean, that's got to be where all the money went. Right?
Yeah,
get those people on.
But yeah, I mean, so yeah, we're biased on this one because it's like same way I'm biased on Lost Highway. Like objectively, is Lost Highway David Lynch's best movie? Hell no.
Right.
But it's still one of my favorites.
Yeah. And I mean, there's like the style of this movie, like the sense of humor in it, you know, like when, like just scenes like when he's talking about lopping the guy's dick off like a chicken head and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what gets me. And it's stuff like that that's stayed with me for years where I can literally quote it. It's like fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
Like the first day I saw it.
Yeah.
You know,
get your head out of your rectal region.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of quotable things they say in the movie. That is for sure.
Sweet dandelion. You know, like there's just so many things that you know. That's the thing about a lot of movies that aren't objectively good. Is like, you know, when I saw Clerks 2, this is, you know, they're not movies I could compare in any other way.
Yeah,
but
Doom Generation to Clerks 2, an obvious connection.
Right, there's so many good connections there.
Yeah.
But when I went to go see Clerks 2, I was like, this movie fucking sucks. This movie is terrible.
And it does.
Well, but then weeks later, I found myself, like, when I'd be talking to other people about, quoting it, like, different scenes, like, about pillow pants and all this shit, you know, or, like, you sort of made me smell your fingers, you know, and Randall. You know, there were so many things in that movie that, like, I remember that were really, really funny. And, like, even though the movie itself wasn't that good, it still, like, had that staying power where, like, you know, like, I'm going to remember those particular things.
No, I give it. I don't like Clerks 2, but there are some
honestly,
good bits
you know what? You know what I would tell you probably is with that? I think a lot of that is nostalgia, too. Because early on in, like, early Kevin Smith career, he referenced, like, kind of dorky things that people our age did as kids. That was, you know, the Star Wars, the comic books, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Whereas later on, like, when he made Clerks 2, Clerks 2 to me was a lot less of that. There was still a little bit of that it dabbled in, but mostly it was just perverted and
I agree.
You know, like,
I agree. Yeah, I don't feel the writing was as strong in Clerks 2 at all.
So it was still funny because it was still Kevin Smith. Yeah. Kevin Smith is by nature funny, but his taste went more perverted, and you probably didn't find that very appealing.
Yeah.
So now we just Now you just got a little review on Clerks.
Yeah, so come back
That's
next
fine.
week when we watch Tusk.
Right. Well, they are coming out with Clerks 3 now, so
Yeah.
if it sucks bad enough, maybe we'll review it.
Yeah.
We could really do Tusk, though. I actually like that movie. I'll defend that movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay. I know what Eric will hate it. So, have you seen Tusk?
No, of course I've not seen Tusk.
Why would you not? It's Kevin Smith.
Yeah, he's done some decent movies, like Sacrament, or was it?
No, he did Red State.
Red State. Yeah, I get
Red
those
State is
confused
pretty
for
good.
some reason.
Sacrament's Ty West.
Yeah. Red State, though. It's a
Red
good
State,
movie.
it was pretty good, yeah.
I was really surprised.
Red
by
State is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, I think, have we covered Doom Generation,
Yeah.
or do you want to talk about
I
something?
think we can keep going.
I was just going to say, anybody who wants to watch this movie, you're going to have a hard time finding it, but you can watch it on YouTube for free.
Yeah. So I would tell you, don't even waste your time looking for another place. Just go watch it on YouTube because right now it sells for like $30 or $40 on Amazon, VHS or DVD.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which way you go with it. So, and I didn't even see a Bluray.
It's
so you probably
shockingly
have
hard.
the only copy.
I mean, unless I have some weird, false memory, I swear to God I had a Blu-ray version of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, this movie is debatably harder than the Janitor to get a hold of.
So all right. Whose turn is it for the next movie?
We were watching Night of Something Strange.
So next 2 weeks we will be back with Night of Something Strange.
Yep, and
Which
for anyone,
only Jason has seen.
yes, and if anyone wants to watch that before listening to the podcast, which we obviously recommend for spoiler reasons, that is going to be on Tubi, also for free.
Okay, cool.
Watch it though.
Tubi, not a sponsor.
Yeah, watch it though, because Jason told me that the Doom Generation was on Tubi today, and it was not.
This one I know for a fact because it's where I watched it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we will see everybody in 2 weeks for whatever that movie was that I just said. I can't remember now. And thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to Hobbs and Horror Movie Review Podcast. Join us in 2 weeks for another exciting movie review.